Hi, so just a little test on the new Stealth iron from TaylorMade's just arrived today, so I thought I'd have a little shot with it and put it up against a few of the similar clubs that are on the market from Ping, Wilson and Callaway. So I'll start with this. I've not hit it yet. I like the look of it. I think it's got a really sleek design. So you can see that it's got a lot of help in it as well. It's all hidden this year. So, in fact, it's almost, if I was fitting somebody for a player's distance iron like an I-525 or something like that, a Wilson D9 forged, this club, and they maybe weren't getting on 100% with that, or they're losing the ball to the right a little bit, then the look of this as going down to a club that's a little bit more easy to hit still has that almost better player's distance iron look to it. Maybe not from the top line exactly, it's a little bit thicker and there's a little bit more offset, but generally as a golf club it looks good, and especially when you consider it's in the, you know, ultimate help category. So it's for somebody who could be, you know, into the 20s on handicap, it's still a club they could use. So we'll have a hit, see what it feels like, see the sort of distances it's going. So my first shot with it, let's see, hopefully I'm warmed up. This is a stiff shaft in it, the KBS Tour Light. It's not the shaft I would normally use, but it's one that I just want to try. Decent strike, a little bit right. This is a 7 iron, by the way. 179 straight out of the box. My own D9 forge, D7 forge, which I'm changing soon, but my 7 iron for that goes about 185, 180 in here. So, and that's quite a strong club as well, so I'd expect this almost to go a little bit further. So let's have a go. That felt like a decent strike. That's more my normal sort of shot. Got to remember to do carry rather than at ultimate distance. When you play out here at the East Links at the Glen in North Berwick, you I kind of look at the overall distance figure a bit more, because it generally takes, the greens can get quite firm and it takes a big hop on when it goes before it starts spinning usually. It doesn't tend to stop where it lands. So the ultimate distance of 194 on that particular shot would be more relevant to me maybe than carry. But if you're playing at a soft parkline course in land, then the 179 that's carried is more the figure you should be looking at. Spin rate 4,483, so it's low. But the thing is, you've got to remember, this is 28 degrees. Now a standard 7 iron in olden days was 34 degrees, so it's 6 degrees stronger. That would have been at least a 6 iron getting on for like almost a 5 iron. So what you've got in your hands is a very strong 7 iron. You've got a 7 iron length shaft, which makes a difference, because any time the shaft's shorter, you've got more control. Look at this, is a 5 iron. From the Wilson Staff CB model. Now, if you look at the length on that, it's getting longer. It's at least an inch there longer, which is what should be. And that then becomes harder to control because you're standing further away from it. You might not think an inch makes that much of a difference on a golf club, but it can. Every time you're going up a club, you're slightly losing control because the shaft's getting longer. That's why drivers tend to be the most wayward clubs there are, that and combined with the lack of loft. But that figure there, I don't know if I'll beat that, to be honest. I mean, unless I started thrashing it, but that's ridiculous for a 7 iron, 194. The thing that you could do though with this is you stop your irons a bit shorter. I mean, we're selling lots of sets from 5 down to gap wedge now. And even sometimes 6 iron down to gap wedge, and people put rescues in after that. So I think it's a good thing, the fact that there's lower loft, you're able to use a shorter shaft, you've got a bit more control, and as long as you can hit it high enough, you know, you're fine. That spin rate, it's 4,483, seems really low, but I can see from the height of that shot, it's launched at 19, reasonably okay for me for a 7-iron. I can see I've hit enough shots in here to know that that's a decent height, and that ball will stop. It's also, you've got to consider that if you were in a 5-iron in a traditional club, then you'd expect the spin rates to look a wee bit more like that. And it's the fact that you're hitting an easier to control club with that loft is the thing that makes a difference. So I have another one. That's a bit heavy. Face closed on that one. In terms of feel, feels a bit like a lot of these clubs do. These distance hitting irons, they tend to feel fairly high pitched in their noise. There's not a feel of softness really. I think they've tried to dial in a wee bit more of that in this club, but I'm not really getting that at the moment. It's still got that cast kind of hard feel. Not a great shot again, but I'm still getting decent distance out of it even when I'm miss-hitting it right and left. Heavy. Again, 180 it gets when you don't even hit it out the middle, so they are feeling really quite forgiving for me. Let's see if I can get a half decent one again. Yeah, that felt like a decent strike. Sorry, I keep quoting the full distance, I've got to stop that. 178 carry, 192. So when I hit it out full out, it's getting up near 195, which is, yeah, I mean, it's getting on for 10 yards further than my D9 forged that I'll get is, and the loft on that's 30.5 and this is 28, so you'd kind of expect it to go a little bit further. If I put that up against G425, which is 30 degrees, it shouldn't get as far, this, because just that 2 degrees should take a little bit off it. G425 ping, 7-iron. Not a great strike. And 7.7. Did alright for not a great strike. G425 is a nice looking club. Always looks thinner from the top than the Stealth does. I think the G425 is a nice club for somebody who doesn't want to go down the player's distance iron look, doesn't want that sort of bladey non-offset look, but likes a thinner top line. It still looks quite appealing. It's still got that harder feel. That was a good one, 187, so it's getting up there. I would think it'll struggle. I might absolutely hit one sweet as a nut and get 195, but that might be the limit. No, I didn't hit that very well. I'm still getting up to 182. So not bad considering it's 2 degrees weaker. So I have one more. Decent strike. We might be going right, I think. Yeah, a little bit high and right. Keep saying the overall distance. 173 carry, 186. A little bit more spin again, you would expect that, and that was a particularly high shot as well. Anyway, let's try the Callaway Apex Dcb. This is another 30 degree club, so not quite as strong as the other ones. In terms of the look of it, quite similar top line to the Stealth. Quite a nice attractive club head considering it's got a lot of help going on at the back. Yeah, so it's a nice looking club. I haven't hit this a lot. Didn't hit that very well. Right, carry, remember carry. 163, that was a bit of a bad hit. don't know, a wee bit high. I sometimes find it a little bit harder to tell whether I've absolutely hit one sweet on these sorts of clubs because of the fact it's not got a forged face or a forged head in any way. So you do get just a bit more of a harsh sensation. Not bad, but it just sometimes harder to feel when whether you've hit it 100% or not. That felt a bit better. I think it does help when you hit out the middle, to be fair. If you get one right out the middle, the clubs always feel a little bit better. It's probably just me hitting it badly. 187. I mean, I would expect that. It's a little bit shorter where the Stealth was. I'll just grab this Wilson D9. And Wilson, not to be outdone, have actually gone for 27 degrees on their D9 7-iron. So it's the strongest one I've ever laid eyes on. So in theory, this should go further because it's packed with technology, flexible face, especially lower down. A bit like the Stealth has as well. That has a little speed slot at the bottom. Again, trying to help shots where you hit it low on the face, and that obviously loses speed normally. So if they put a little bit of flex in there down low, then that gives and tries to maintain ball speed across the head. So let's have a go with this D9 7-iron. Toe strike. Wish I could say I was doing that deliberately, just to find out what they're like in off-centre hits, but see, it's got 190 on an off-centre hit. Well, again, 172 carry. Another one. Again, quite a hard feel. Don't know if I hit that 100%, obviously not, no, a little bit pushed down to the side there. Still got a 197 on a bad strike, pushed right, high. I mean, that's ridiculous. There's another one. That felt like a decent strike. .207. I'm not even trying to hit that. It's absolutely belt that. 18 degrees of launch, 4,000 spin, so it's quite low spin, but considering it's gone 207 yards, I wouldn't expect that to have a high spin, because in days gone by, it for me was a 5-iron shot, which I'm not expecting it to land and stop. So a 7-iron, that's unbelievable. I mean, I'll have another shot with the Stealth, see if it can get anywhere near that Wilson D9. It must be close. It's 1 degree different. See if we can get over 200 with the Stealth. Not try to go absolutely after it, but just trying to get a good one. Not as good as that last one from the Wilson. 184. Nothing to write home about. What was a carry? 170. One good one. I think it was good. Again, this is the thing, I'm not used to the feel sometimes. Oh, nearly up to 200. Let's see if we can break the 200 barrier. Not thrashing it, but you know, a good hard swing. Wee bit low on the face. .192, 178 carry. A little bit left possibly, but hit nicely. Yeah, 201, what was that, 186 on the carry. I mean, these are just crazy figures. I actually hit this 5-iron staff model CB. So the two clubs different, and see how far I get this. So now hitting a 5-iron with a more traditional loft. See, again, standing up there with the 5-iron, I know that if I was out on the course, I'm not expecting to strike the 5-iron. See, 199, 4,000 revs. Not expecting to strike the 5-iron as consistently well as I would a 7-iron. Not feeling as confident standing over that. So let's have another go. That wasn't a perfect hit. Again, not a perfect hit, but it's a smaller head and it's harder to hit. And the miss hits will be less good. It's a 194, 175 carry, I think. So I'm struggling to get my 5-iron of this set up to the 7-irons and the other ones. Don't know if I middled that either. It's the launch as well. 176 carry, 192, 17 degrees launch, 4,000 spin. I'm better hitting the 7-iron with the other ones. So we'll go again. I think it was alright. Not about right again. Oh, we got over 200. I mean, it's just a joke. And then you go 7-iron, you know, D9. Didn't even hit that 100%. Pushed it right. And it gets up to where the 5-iron was going. So you can see why I'm finding it difficult to go back to more traditional clubs, because I've played with players' distance irons. Like I've used D7 forged, and I got a set of the CBs because I thought they looked really nice, the Wilsons. And every time I went out, I was hitting one club more with it. It was one club, but then it just became annoying. You would just come out thinking, what's the distance? Right, well, I would have hit a 7, but I'm going to have to hit a 6. Or if it's a little bit into the wind, then, you know, you might even have to add another club again, because it goes a bit higher. So let's have a go with the Stealth, see if we can finish off with a good one. Okay, I think. A little bit right. Yeah, I've hit that one up in the air a wee bit. So last one with the Stealth. Felt decent. It's decent height. There's nothing wrong with the height on that shot. It's getting up to 196. Well, conclusion is that the Stealth is very good, very nice. It still feels like a cast club, even though they've tried to make it feel a wee bit softer. It certainly doesn't look like your average, you know, high handicap club. I think there's a lot of people who could use this right down to getting on for single figures. It's somebody that maybe loses it right a little bit, so it's got that little bit of offset. Could really find these were very forgiving, very long. You'd quite often be going down a club every time. And in terms of how they are against the other ones, well, it's a little bit determined by loft, but you know, the D9 Wilson, which is 1 degree stronger, did continually pit it a little bit further than this Stealth, although I don't think there was very much in it, to be honest. It was only a few yards. So I would think that the Stealth is up there with the longest clubs out there in this category. And you just have to bear in mind the loft. You know, G425, slightly less strong loft, and also the Callaway Dcb is 30 degrees. So they're not potentially going to hit it as far, but some people with the strong lofts actually find that they don't have the club head speed to almost hit them in the air, and they probably need that little bit extra loft. So it's worth trying, you know, try with graphite shafts, try different combinations. But I think if you were interested in the Stealth up against any of the the clubs from the main manufacturers out there. I think it's going to really impress you in terms of the way it performs, forgiveness and distance, but also the looks. It's arguably one of the best looking higher handicapper clubs out there. So yeah, really impressed with it, and yeah, get out there and have a go with it. And if you've got any questions, just put them in the comments and I'm happy to answer them. Okay, thanks a lot.